Welcome back to a special episode of Best in the Biz podcast. I'm joined here today with Allison Muise from Triple Point Resources. Allison, how are you today?
I'm good, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Allison, this might be a good opportunity to tell the listeners about who you are and what you do. Yeah.
Sure. I grew up here in the small town Newfoundland from St. George's. And for most of my career, I've been an employee. But just recently, in the past year or two, I've launched out into doing some contract work and exploring how I can use my skills in more of an independent way. So, as you said, I am working with Triple Point Resources, but I also work with a couple of other organizations as well, where I do communications, community engagement, public relations, that kind of work.
I'd like to touch on what you're doing here at the Business Forum today and some things that you're looking forward to in the Stephenville area and here at the Center for Heavy Equipment and Technology.
Well, Josh, I work from home, so any opportunity to get out and see people, find out what everybody's up to and reconnect with old colleagues and friends, I'm all about it. But I'm at the forum today to present for Triple Point Resources, so giving an update on where we are with that project and really just an overview of what the project is for anybody who's never heard about it before. So I'm on the lineup for this afternoon at the Business Forum.
That's awesome. Maybe you can tell some listeners about what that project is and some key points from that.
Sure. In a nutshell, it's an energy storage project. We have a salt dome out at Fischel's. A lot of times when people hear salt, they are thinking about Atlas salt and mining salt for sale. That's not what we're doing. We also have salt, but when you have salt that has formed into a dome structure, the best and just the best way to use that is to make caverns within the salt for storage. That's a pretty strange concept for many of us in Newfoundland. Before joining this project, I had certainly never heard about such a thing. However, this is technology that's used around the world. And the salt dome that we have in Western Newfoundland is pretty special. It's the only one in Canada that's ready to go for large-scale energy storage. So without getting into too many technical details, just in a nutshell, what you can do and what we intend to do as the first part of our project is to make a cavern, using solution mining, just like you can stir salt into water and dissolve it. You can wash out spaces in this salt dome to make storage spaces, and you remove the brine. So now you've got a large storage space. And then what we can set up is technology called compressed air energy storage. So we would have a small wind farm that generates the power we need to run a compressor. Compressor pushes air down into the cavern that we've created. And then when we want to use the power, that air is released, like turning on a switch. It pushes a turbine, and that pushing the turbine is what creates electricity to put right back into the grid.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Super interesting. And it's pretty important because it controls the unpredictable nature of renewables. We sure have lots of wind in Newfoundland.
Of course.
But you can't control when it's blowing, how hard it's blowing, or if it's blowing at all. Certainly when the wind is very high, you can't just slam all of that into the grid. It would blow the system. So this in-between step at the dome lets you collect anything that you can't put into the grid rather than wasting it. And it also allows you to have a reserve of energy so that when the wind's not blowing, you still have something there that's available. Keeps everything smooth, keeps everything consistent and reliable, and it just makes a transition to renewables much more realistic, much more affordable, and possible.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. Allison, it's very intuitive and it's a lot of information. If anyone here that's listening to this podcast today is intrigued by what Triple Point Resources is doing, how can they find out some more information about that?
Absolutely. So I am the community engagement manager for the company. I live in St. George's, and I'm always available, to have a chat. If anybody would like to discuss with me, give me a call, 709-214-2078. Or if you'd prefer to just go on your computer, something easy, our website has it all, and that's triplepoint.ca.
All right. Thank you. Allison, thank you so much for coming by today and being a guest on this podcast for Best in the Biz. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the Business Forum, and best wishes.
Thank you, Josh.
Cheers.
Thanks.
I'm joined here with special guest Byron Alexander from Newfoundland Naturalist. Byron, how are you this morning?
I'm great, Josh. Thanks. I'm very happy to be here today.
Yeah, thanks for coming by on such short notice. Byron is involved with Newfoundland Naturalist. Maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit more about that and what you do.
Okay. Basically, Newfoundland Naturalist is a land-based learning platform. And basically, it's designed helping people get reconnected back to Mother Nature.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important. So, Byron, maybe you can touch on, I would say, any advice you have for aspiring entrepreneurs. I understand you've been involved in the community for the last 20 years. You've done some different businesses. You've been involved with a local gym that you owned and operated, and now you've taken that from, like you said, inside to outside with sustainable farming and all this stuff with Newfoundland Naturalist. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, Josh. Actually, I was owner-operator of Universal Healthcare for almost 28 years. So that ran from 1993 to 2017. So I've always been involved with health and wellness my entire life. I retired from that business 2017. So used to helping the public my entire life. I was kind of lost after that. Especially around the health and wellness, kind of a passion of mine. So it was kind of a funny transition when COVID hit and everything kind of shut down, of course, and it gave me the opportunity to get back out onto the land and kind of switch from helping people from a health and wellness side inside to outside, and then basically helping people get back reconnected to land and find their roots. And, the key, I think, to my success over the last 35 years is basically, and advice for any entrepreneurs, is passion. Find your passion. Don't look for something to make you rich or so on and so forth. Look what makes you happy every day, that you're excited to get out of bed. And I think from that, everything else will come from that.
I think that's some of the best advice anyone can give when it comes to business. If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And it certainly helps when you're passionate about something and you have something that you can take ownership of. Byron, what are some challenges and opportunities you see in our region right now when it comes to Indigenous-led social enterprises?
Well, there's challenges in any enterprises, but I think, the main challenge here now within our region is just people itself, and attracting those people to whatever your enterprise might be. But again, the key, I believe, is passion. So, when you have that passion, you feel that passion, people are attracted to that. So again, it's always going to kind of come back to passion in my book, because I've always followed my passion. I've always been very successful because of that. But in our region, we have so many untapped resources right here, yes, especially around ecotourism. Right here in Bay St. George and West Coast, I'm living in Stevens Crossing. We're an hour away from Lewis Hills, highest point in Newfoundland, and we have the ocean 10 minutes away. So, and the scenic beauty is just absolutely amazing. So there's just so much untapped resources here. I think it's really exciting for upcoming entrepreneurs in the region going forward, as long as they find their passion and go with that.
Yeah, it's all about finding your calling at the end of the day. And like you said, we live in a region with so many untapped resources. I think that's now is a better time than ever, especially if you're Indigenous, you want to get involved and you want to make a difference in your community, whether that's through volunteering, owning a business, or whatever it may be. And being passionate about that is just so crucial. Byron, I think, we're on a little bit of a time crunch here today, so I think that's all we have. But before we leave, where can people find out more about what you do at Newfoundland Naturalist, and how can they get in touch with you?
Our business just recently got up and running here, so I'm working on the website right now, but I do have domain names, newfoundlandnaturalist.ca, newfoundlandnaturalist.com also. as a Facebook page. So people can reach out to me personally. It's Byron Alexander. I am on Facebook, and also I have a web page for Facebook Newfoundland Naturalist. You can reach me on there and contact and go from there.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, Byron, for coming in. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the Howlable Business Forum and with all of your other initiatives that you have going on. I know you're a busy guy, but thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
All this.
Here's a quick recap of today's most important insights. Allison encouraged aspiring entrepreneurs to lean into discomfort, whether it's attending networking events, introducing yourself to new people, stepping into unfamiliar spaces. Growth happens when you push past fear. She reminded listeners to say yes to opportunities, even the ones that feel intimidating, like doing a podcast for the first time. Byron highlighted the importance of passion as the foundation of any successful entrepreneurial journey. After nearly 3 decades of health and wellness, he now offers land-based learning by reconnecting with what truly inspires him, nature. His advice: don't chase money, chase what excites you to get out of the bed every morning.